Unsolved Mysteries Rewind is a commercial-free podcast that focuses on cases featured on the television show Unsolved Mysteries with Robert Stack. Each episode features a single case and, if possible, updates and an expansion on the original story. Listener discretion is advised for listeners who are sensitive to true crime details.
Tonight on Unsolved Mysteries Rewind, two friends get together to discuss episodes of their favorite television show, Unsolved Mysteries. Will they find answers? Will anyone care? You may be able to solve a mystery.
Hello, this is Mark, and you are listening to Unsolved Mysteries Rewind. Today I have returning to the show Laura Crook from Down Under. How are you, Laura?
I'm well. How are you going, Mark?
I'm doing great. I'm going great. And
Good to
so this was an episode that you brought up. You wanted to discuss this particular case for a long time. And it's the case of the murder, the unsolved murder of Megan Curl. And I'm wondering what stood out about this particular case that meant so much to you?
I think because it's still unsolved and it's such a tragic case, and when you look into it, she seemed like just like a really harmless girl, really lovely, and she just didn't deserve, I mean, no one deserves what happened to her, but it's just, she just seemed to live such a, placid life, and she just ran into trouble, and it's still unsolved, and it seems like it should be solved.
Yeah, it's really crazy. This is a case that takes place in Texas.
Yes, Lufkin.
Sorry, go on.
Yes, no, that's right. Lufkin, Texas. And it's it's season 12, episode 1. And it was first aired on December 10th, 2001, so a while ago.
But not so long after it happened, because the actual murder took place on March 26th, 2000.
Yes.
So, right. I mean, actually, it is quite a, it's over a year later. But,
yeah, about a year and a half.
And
nearly 2 years.
Yeah, and so what I found crazy about this particular story is the way that the body was found. But do you want to talk a little bit about what happens before they find the body?
Yes. So basically, March 26, 2000, 4 in the morning, at the Fox Run apartment in Lufkin, Texas, a resident in another apartment sees an apartment on the second floor on fire and calls the police. Then the police force their way into the apartment, and when they put out the blaze, that was entirely confined to the bedroom, they discover the charred remains tied to a bed with what appeared to be pantyhose.
The reenactment that Unsolved Mysteries had of this it appeared to be it was accurate to everything I read, and it was really horrifying. It really you just think to yourself, what a terrible, terrible, like something terrible happened here, and we don't know exactly what.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose police get that all the time with fires. You never know what you're going to find. I mean,
I found it weird that the body was charred.
Yeah, so it must have been burning for a while, or it must have been some pretty heavy accelerants.
Yeah, like I mean, I just don't know. I mean, one thing I kept wondering about, and I looked for answers here, and that's, were they able to determine if she was dead when the fire was going on? Because they say very often that they could tell if the person was breathing because they would have breathed in smoke, and you would find remnants of that in the lungs. But maybe the charred body was just too far beyond that they couldn't even tell.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you've seen Law and Order, which I have quite a few times,
sure.
They do. I mean, they show pretty graphic scenes there of charred bodies, and we're talking. I suppose if you say charred, it sounds disgusting, but it would be basically a black body.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't think anyone would be able to survive that. But it's interesting you say, because I actually couldn't find any evidence or anywhere on the internet that said whether she actually was alive when she was set on fire.
Yeah, because they could even tell in the nasal canal. There's a number of ways to tell if she breathed in smoke.
Yes. Well, I mean, then again, we're jumping a bit ahead here, but they did say that she had been gagged, suffocated with a plastic bag, and her throat had been cut really deeply on both sides. So you would assume that she probably wasn't alive.
Right.
They do sound like pretty extensive injuries. However, she could have been just unconscious and bleeding out when she was set on fire. So technically she could have inhaled some smoke. But again,
it's just a terrible way to die. I mean, another thing that we would learn is that, any single one of these methods would have killed her, whether it be because the sides of her neck were sliced. So she would have bled out. She was suffocated. Was she stabbed?
Doesn't say. She said she was just suffocated with a plastic bag, and her throat had been cut really deeply on both sides.
Terrible.
So,
So Megan Curl is about the same age as me. I'm a few months older than her, and so whenever I see somebody who's born in the same year, I'm like, oh my God, it's like I put myself in that situation, but it's an interesting backstory with her. She was born October 1st, 1973. She grew up as kind of a military person in a military family. She had what would be, even though Unsolved Mysteries would refer to her in kind of a, in what I think both of you and I agree is kind of an unkind way of describing her, she was what we would say developmentally challenged.
Yes.
And she also seemed to kind of have overcome that, in my opinion anyway. Maybe yours as well.
She attended special education classes, and maybe that just helped her.
Mm-hmm.
And she, caught up in school and everything. She seemed to be just a lovely person.
She wasn't letting it slow her down. I mean, she got married.
Yep.
And divorced.
Yes, she did. True. Yes. She, so her mum said that, she, was a really nice person. People would say things about her and let, put her down, but she'd always come back with a kind word for them.
Mm-hmm.
So she obviously had a good heart. And she has two brothers as well, Josh and Sean, and her parents divorced, but both has remarried, and her father passed away in 2014, but her mother is still around. And she did marry at 18, and she moved to Arkansas.
Yeah.
But apparently the marriage was abusive, and she moved back to Lufkin, where her mum was, and she insisted on getting a place of her own.
I'm impressed that you said Arkansas and not Arkansas, because it's one of those weird states. Like, why isn't it pronounced Arkansas? It's the way it's spelled.
And also, people in Australia aren't familiar with how to pronounce some states. So,
like
but
Arkansas.
I do know my states.
Good. But yeah, she worked at in a local chicken processing plant. She was a very dedicated employee. I mean, it seems to me that no one had anything really bad to say about Megan.
No, she like I said, she was dedicated employee, a nice person, kept to herself. But Megan's mother, Sherry, believes that because Megan was so trusting
mm-hmm.
and outgoing, she tended to be a target for certain types of men. So maybe men that, felt they could take advantage of her, thought she might be easy prey, could figure out that she was, lonely after her divorce, and she wanted someone in her life, someone to care for her. And she believes that, because of that sort of personality trait, she was more susceptible to, someone who could potentially harm her.
Yeah, basically attracting this person who was a complete deviant, awful person.
And I have to think, I agree. Like, if you're, married 18, and that's quite young, and if you're single by 21, you want to go out there and live life.
You're still a
and
kid. Yeah. I mean, you're still, there's no reason not to. And so earlier in the night of March 26th, we learned that Megan had gone out. She'd gone to a place that you would probably frequent very often, the Electric Cowboy. And,
Sounds like fun.
the reenactment made the Electric Cowboy look like the kind of place I wouldn't go to. But
yeah, I have to admit, I'm not a fan of the music. I wasn't a fan of the atmosphere. I wasn't feeling it. But, she obviously
to
was.
each their own.
Yes.
No, she was thrown out of the Electric Cowboy for dancing inappropriately. So I'm going to guess. All right. So I'm just going to throw it out there that maybe she was like stripping or something. Maybe she was really like drunk and she was just being too suggestive,
Yeah.
I mean, Texas is, kind of a very, I don't know, a very religious state, especially at the time.
It's a kind of conservative.
Very
type
conservative.
Thing. Yeah.
And I have to imagine, like, we're going to have that going on here. And that's my bad Texas accent. And
than mine.
Why don't you try it? Hi, y'all.
On here.
There you go. That's not bad.
Oh, thanks.
So basically, she gets kicked out of the club. I mean, in order to get kicked out of the club, you have to be doing something.
I think she was just. Well, the reenactment showed that she was kind of. Yeah, she was kind of like moving her hips and jiving a little, which didn't seem that bad to me.
It's like Elvis.
Yeah, God, yeah, the hips and everything. But I would imagine she, might have been just. Maybe she got up on a table, or maybe she was just trying to dance with a whole lot of men, and they, getting too close to them or whatever. I don't know. But I will mention that she was seen talking to a random man at the club. And they talked on and off during the night, and he bought her a couple of drinks. Mm-hmm. So we don't know if she was really intoxicated. She might have bought her own. But, yeah, she was thrown out, and she went to another club with an unidentified man. They're not sure if it was the same man who bought her the drinks at the Electric Cowboy Club. Mm-hmm. But this one was called the Sports Shack.
Another place I would not frequent. It's just not my cup of tea.
Maybe it's just one of those bars that you go to on the way home. You just I'll just go and have my last drink there.
And that's exactly probably what it is. It's a sports bar.
Yeah, lots of fun.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Megan was just looking for a good time. I mean, not to say a good time like a sexual time. I mean, like, she's just wants to go out and dance and be crazy. Maybe I don't know what she was looking for. Unfortunately, what she found is, I'm 100% sure, not what she was looking for. And that's the attention of some lunatic.
Yeah, that can only be described with what happened to her, yeah.
And that brings us to Tonya. Tonya is not this person's real name, of course. And Tonya, they mentioned that Tonya lived below where Megan lived, and she would keep an eye on Megan. And she kind of knew that she had, like, maybe she was a little slow, maybe. And she just kind of looked out for her for whatever reason. I'm not really sure the relationship there.
Yeah, it seemed to sort of be like, I guess, a neighbourly friendship.
Busybody
maybe
or something.
Maybe they drop in for a cup of coffee every now and then, maybe say hi in the hallway. But, so she, after the Sports Shack, Megan caught a ride home with an employee of the Sports Shack who was a bouncer. And she arrived home at 1:30, and like we said, 1:30 in the morning, and like we said, Tonya was awake and out on her balcony and saw the car pull up. Mm-hmm. And Megan went up to chat with her about the night out.
Now, you found information about something that Megan talked about. I wish you would talk about it, because I think it's kind of relevant to this.
Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't actually include it, because when this segment showed that she was actually, seemed to be quite compos mentis, she was just sort of explaining why she didn't know why she was kicked out of the club and just making random small chat. But what I found that wasn't included in the segment was that during an interview with police, the neighbour Tonya said that Megan was crying and saying that she just wanted someone to love her, which, that's kind of sad. And she must have been a little bit maybe tipsy or drunk.
Right. I mean, she definitely had a few. She was probably just depressed and...
Yeah, she just didn't feel wanted. And I guess if you get thrown out of a club, it's probably not the nice feeling.
It's a little depressing, right?
Yeah, and maybe the night didn't go the way she wanted to, and, she just, felt a bit depressed and just wanted someone to talk to. But I'm surprised they didn't include it in the segment, to be honest.
Yeah, but Tonya wanted to kind of keep her identity concealed. So they did this weird face hidden thing, and they altered the voice.
It was like this deep, weird sounding voice. I had to laugh a little.
Yeah, I never liked that kind of thing. It's like, then Megan,
Yeah.
I can understand. It's like I can barely understand what you're saying.
I can understand how she'd want to not anyone to know who she was, though, because
even now, right?
Yeah, I mean, if she still lives there, like, he knows where she lives. Like, I want to conceal my identity as well.
Yeah, I couldn't blame her for that.
But so when Tonya was interviewed on the segment with her voice altered and her face hidden, basically she said, Megan and I were standing out there talking, and then a guy sped up in the car park really fast and then stopped.
Right. They're like, whoa, it was like one of those kind of dramatic little reenactments.
And they said, oh, he's got to be careful. He's going to kill someone. And the man didn't get out of the car, but he appeared to be waiting for someone. So a minute later, Megan thought that the man might be her friend from the club and wanted to go down and speak with him. Now, Tonya, looking out for her friend, was a bit hesitant, but Megan went anyway. So
it's a weird little thing. I mean, it was one of those, and this is supposed to be around 1:32 in the morning.
Yeah.
So I
don't know if I go
approaching strangers. It's kind of a thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if she knew this man before, but I don't think I'd give out my address to someone I met at a bar and be like, come see me later.
Yeah.
And then go and sit in a car with someone I've never, I don't know, they could know each other, but say they'd never really met until that night. I wouldn't get in the car with him.
But, at the same time, Megan is a little bit, maybe she doesn't know any better.
And
She's
too trusting.
Lonely. Too trusting.
Yeah.
But Tonya watched Megan go downstairs and speak to him in the car, and it kind of made it look like they're kind of talking, and she even gets in the car, which is crazy. Tonya, for some reason, was getting more and more concerned, though. I don't know why she would get concerned at this point. I mean, Megan is an adult, right? I mean, it's just kind of weird. But, Tonya's like, all right, well, whatever, do what you're doing. It's not that big of a deal. And then, was it the next day at 2:20?
No, sorry, I meant to write AM.
I was wondering, I'm like, is this like something I missed? But at 2:20, I guess, Tonya went to Megan's apartment to check on her, and when she opened the door, the reenactment was weird. But... yeah. It's kind of like she's, hey, I have a guy in here and we're, doing whatever. And it's kind of weird that Tonya would check up on Megan.
Yeah, I think...
At 2:20 in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, Tonya was, I guess, I don't know, maybe Megan had been in this sort of situation before where
that's
she'd
a
been
good point.
Screwed over by a few men, and Tonya was like, oh... it's obvious she shouldn't get involved with these people, but obviously, like we said, Megan obviously didn't know any better.
Do you think Tonya's a lot older than Megan?
I got that feeling. Yes. I felt like maybe she'd be in like her late 30s, early 40s type thing.
And maybe she's like motherly figure type of situation.
Yeah, and she kind of lived a little bit more and, kind of knew that Megan was a bit, trusting and all of that, and maybe she just got a bad feeling. Could be simple as just getting a real bad feeling. She
certainly had a good reason for that bad feeling. And the conversation is very weird in Unsolved Mysteries. And it's kind of like, hey, you okay? You sure everything? Sees the guy sitting on the couch. And
he just nods.
Yeah.
He doesn't do anything else but nod.
Just nodding. Like, holy cow. But Megan's like, everything's fine. And that was it. And that was the last time that Megan was seen alive by
anyone
by
except
anybody
for the
but this guy.
Yes, and the man in the apartment was described as a baby-faced, which always makes me laugh, baby-faced white male with wire-rimmed glasses, in his 20s to 30s with a small build, blonde hair and a light moustache. And he's obviously the prime suspect because, like we said, he's the last one to be seen with her. So
now I was watching this with my wife, and
you did?
In the reenactment they show the sketch of the guy, and they're panning down slowly. And my wife goes, "Is that you?" Because they get to the mustache. I have a beard, like I have a whole facial hair thing where I just don't shave, and when it got to and I have long hair right now, so it's like, and I wear glasses, and she's like, "Is that you?" This is kind of funny. One of those type of things. I'm like, kind of does look like
funny.
me. But then it went down, and it's like, oh, thank God, it's just the mustache. I mean,
it could be anyone, really. I mean, there's a lot of baby-faced white males who are 20 to 30 with a small build out there.
I don't think I'm baby-faced, though. I'm definitely older-faced, I think.
But maybe you're baby-faced back in 2000.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I had the face of an angel.
Totally.
How old was I then? I was 27 years old. Not even 30.
I was 11. No,
What?
I was 10 still.
Look at you. Living life.
Totally.
So, Tonya watched Megan go down. Oh, no, what am I doing? I jumped right to the wrong thing.
That's all right.
We'll put a post. We'll put a link to the mugshot in the description of the guy that I'm talking about from the Electric Cowboy, and let's see. They kind of go into this whole thing where when they found the body, that it looked like she was wearing pieces of a nightgown that had burned off. I thought that they went into this a little too much. I don't think this is our business. I don't think it's important.
I agree, but I also find it weird. If the body was charred, you're not going to see any remnants of any nightgown.
None.
Or you're not going to see anything. It would have just burned off. But
especially if it's a nightgown or lingerie, it's something that's very fine. And it would probably burn very easily.
Yeah, that's why I thought really, really strange. I just didn't understand it. But, I think they did delve a little bit too much into it.
They would say, she would just normally dress like a slob and wear shorts and a T-shirt to bed, but when she knew that she was going to be romantically involved, she would wear a nightgown or lingerie.
Yeah, so they felt that Megan was preparing for an intimate evening with this man, in the apartment. But
who cares? I just don't know why that matters.
And they said that what I didn't like is how that they said the police investigated all of the men who Megan was known to have relationships with. And I felt like when they said this, it could just be me, but they were sort of implying that
like a slut shaming, right?
Yes, slept around a lot. And I'm thinking, well,
I don't like that. Yeah.
No, as long as she was safe. She was 26 and she was single. As long as she's safe.
It's not breaking a law. It's just, I don't like that at all. To me, that's slut shaming. It's completely disgusting, and it's basically kind of creating a narrative for somebody who died in such a terrible way. It's not important information to have released.
No, I agree. I don't think it's relevant. I don't think it goes anywhere. They could have just said that they investigated some men who Megan knew, and, they all had alibis where they were that night.
They also make this weird comment that no forced entry into the apartment, but we know this. We know that she allowed him to be in the apartment. There was no...
Yes, because the neighbor saw.
Yeah, I just thought there was a lot of weird information being thrown around about this.
It could be because they literally have no other angle to go with.
That's true.
It could be they just got no other evidence and they're just trying to clutch at straws. But it is obvious. Tonya, the neighbor, saw the guy in the apartment, said, talked to Megan. Megan didn't seem she was under duress unless she was a really good actress. Obviously she got a weird vibe from him, but obviously he was in the apartment willingly. So Megan let him in.
Yeah, don't let strange men in your apartment. This is one of these things where
Yeah.
Just you have to know who. Now, one of the things that kind of just goes on and on through everybody who's involved with Megan, having to do with her family and stuff, is they're just trying to answer the question: is who is this person who would go so far out of their way to kill her? I mean, this was not just, a shot in the head. This wasn't just a simple thing. You started a fire in an apartment building. Like, this was going to become apparent. This isn't like you're affecting the entire building.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is someone that was suffocated. That's bad enough. Had their throat cut to make sure she was going to die. And then not only that, to add insult to injury, she was set on fire. And you're right, putting the rest of the apartment people in danger.
It's like Jack the Ripper or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, overkill. And they say when it's overkill, it's a crime of passion, usually. So once again, that does lend to the fact, was it just a complete psycho, or was it someone who with intense hatred for women, or was it someone that she knew, previously? And maybe they dated for a while and he came back and he was angry at her. But, I guess we won't know.
That's crazy and we won't know because the case is still unsolved after over 2 decades, 21 and a half years.
Really, really sad. I mean, it sounds weird, but because I love Unsolved Mysteries so much, nerd alert.
Well, you're here. Of course you love it.
Of course, very true. But I sometimes think of a case and I go, I'm going to look it up on the internet and I hope that there is some sort of resolution. And I get so disappointed when I don't hear anything. And this is one of the cases.
There's not that much on this either. That's another thing.
Yes. And I think that's why I wanted to try and talk about it, because I think it is one of those not very well known cases, but I think it should have got more attention for the brutality of it. Like, I think, and the police never even said whether there was any other cases that were similar. They never said, is there a serial killer going on? Was there any other cases where there was the same MO around the same time?
Right.
Even in a different state, even in an adjoining state. They never even said that because it was just so violent. Why wouldn't you go and investigate that?
Now, in the last episode I recorded with Catherine, we discussed the murder of Wendy Camp, Cynthia Brito, and Lisa Krager.
Yes.
And this is another one of these kind of crazy cases that seem to be completely unsolved. But then after years and years, it became solved. So one thing that Catherine and I discuss in that episode is the magic almost of an unsolved crime that goes for years and years and years and finally becomes solved.
Yes.
So we can't give up hope, I guess. It's if somebody knows something about Megan Curl and this person's out there, maybe they said something. I don't know how these geniuses get all of the data together and figure out who did this stuff. But what I do know is we can't give up hope. We have to just kind of keep moving forward and hope for the best here.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, and also DNA is way more advanced now, and it keeps advancing. I mean, you don't even know. I mean, a lot of cases are solved by, again, maybe there is a similar crime and they get DNA from that and they link it to the same person that killed Megan Curl and they find the person that way. Or, there's tons of ways it can still be solved. So I agree. You can't give up hope, but I guess you can't even begin to imagine how the parents feel, how the family feels about, every day just going, still nothing.
Now, you have a theory that I think is probably, it makes the most sense to me, if you want to talk a bit about that.
Yes, sure. So one of my theories was, could Megan have made the man in her apartment mad for some reason? Or
I'm not going to sleep with you. All of a sudden, he becomes like a complete monster.
Yes, exactly. And it could, like I said, it could have been an unknown serial killer. It could be someone that just has an intense hatred for women, and the minute that he's rejected, he lashes out, even though it was so vicious. But what annoyed me was that it almost seemed to be an almost perfect crime. The body was burnt to destroy any evidence, even though sometimes you can still get evidence.
And the room itself was, for the most part, destroyed.
Yes, exactly. So, again, it's very hard to find any sort of evidence there. I mean, burning is pretty brutal, and it's a good way to kind of destroy evidence. You've got to ask, was this man also just passing through town? Again, how long has Megan known the man? Did she meet him that night, or had they met previously? But from the facts that we know about Megan's personality that her mum said, it does fit that her vulnerability made her trust too easily, and she probably only just met him and thought they had a connection. And like she said to her neighbour Tonya, she just wants someone to care and love her.
Right. So, she's just looking to, kind of fulfill this, and there's no crime in that, It's another thing that Unsolved Mysteries will repeat this over and over again. I'm sure you recall, like, numerous times where they seem to have to mention that the person, well, she certainly had a lot of relationships, that type of thing. And it's just not relevant. Now, granted, if we're talking about a prostitute, all right, they're putting themselves in a situation where they're constantly around several men who clearly are taking it to the next level to want to have sex. So they're putting themselves in this kind of scenario, right? So I guess it's relevant in that sense. But we're not talking about a sex worker here. We're talking about a regular, just a person who's not a sex worker, who's just out going and partying.
Yeah, trying to have a good time, trying to meet someone. And I, think that she's kind of brave, because if she was in an abusive relationship, an abusive marriage...
Exactly. I know exactly what you're going to say. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good for her to try and get out and to try and trust again, and to...
But to even leave the abusive, marriage... a lot of people they're stuck, right? It's, well, this is just my life now. And I'm not making fun of those people, of course. It's a scary thing. But they get stuck. And what they're, for her to have the courage to say, I'm out, like, this isn't for me, I'm not going to stick with this abusive, like, asshole, is, good for her. Unfortunately, she just was too trusting of other people.
Yes, I think so too. And I couldn't find anything, speaking of her marriage, I actually couldn't find anything about her ex-husband. But I did know that she did have an ex-boyfriend called Tim Purvis, and Megan pressed ch I'm not exactly sure what the charges were. Again, it could be for abuse again, which I think that there's a pattern happening there, which I feel sorry for Megan about.
Now, was he in prison for this charge?
We don't know. We don't know. I couldn't find what he was actually in prison for, but Megan pressed some sort of charges, and this led to his parole being revoked, and he was released from prison 1 week before Megan's murder, which,
it sounds pretty convenient, yeah.
Exactly. Police investigated him, but found out he had an alibi for that night, and there was no physical evidence to charge him with anything, and he actually died in an accident in 2013.
Yeah, I was when I read that from you, I was like, let me guess, Tim's dad is like a sheriff or something, but no, I didn't see anything like that.
That would have been literally like another Law and Order episode. Cover up.
I mean, but it happens so often.
It does. Yeah, definitely. And that's, or you find that, they're high up and they've got something on a cop and, they blackmailing them to keep quiet. It's always something.
And also another trend that we all see, of course, is it's usually the ex-husband or the ex-boyfriend or the husband. That's usually the person,
I couldn't find anything on the ex-husband. Nothing. So
now, another thing I have to wonder is if Megan's friend, Tonya, whether she had ever met Tim. That would be interesting to know.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I mean, and also, even though they said he has an alibi, there's a lot of people that can lie for someone.
Sure.
Like, they always go, if my mum alibied me, it's like, your mum loves you. She's going to say anything.
Yeah. I mean, it could have been a good alibi, I guess. Maybe he was at work or
True.
something actually verifiable. But, yeah, I mean, to just say, yeah, you had an alibi.
Yeah. And one thing we do know is that it definitely wasn't a professional hit, because that's not how they do it.
Now, this was done kind of haphazardly.
Yeah.
This was like a real dramatic way of killing somebody.
Overkill. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. So that's why it leads me to more of a kind of passion, which, again, what I said before, maybe they did argue, maybe she got him mad, maybe she changed her mind, and he just let loose.
Now, one of the facts that you uncovered was in 2012, a retired Lufkin police officer stated that they believed they knew who had killed Megan, but they didn't have enough evidence to charge the individual. We never learned who that individual would have been.
No, they didn't give us a name, which was, again, really frustrating. I tried to research more into that, and it's almost like they're just giving us, dangling a carrot in front of us and go, oh, we know who did it, but I'm not going to give you a name.
There's also a number of people who have confessed to the murder behind bars to kind of make themselves like, yeah, I murdered her. And I guess that's a way of boosting your reputation in prison. But none of it led to any actual evidence that they could have.
Yeah. So people say whatever they want to in prison, just to get some sort of deal or to make themselves look tougher, to make sure that they don't get beaten up by other inmates. Also,
this brought you to one of the weirder places in the world of unsolved mysteries, and that's Unsolved.com.
Yes.
Which is that's a rabbit hole. I think you can even admit that. You go there and it's like the comments that are on Unsolved.com, which are completely, apparently, from what I can tell, unmoderated.
Yes.
Are just the ramblings of either crazy people, sometimes legitimate. I don't know. It's a weird place. It's a great place to go and read some very strange comments. And
exactly. And how can you prove them? I think that's why they sometimes, most of the time, it's false information.
It's like MySpace.
Like I could say I was best friends with Megan, and no one's going to say anything.
You could be Megan. It's kind of like.
It's true.
And people do people write the most ludicrous things there. I think that personally, the comment section at Unsolved.com does more harm than good, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah. I don't think there should be a comment section
no,
at all.
Right?
I guess they keep it open, maybe. I don't know if the police ever check it, and they do check out the leads. I don't know, but I highly doubt it.
Yeah, there's a phone number. If you have a legitimate lead,
call them.
Yeah, exactly. Call them. There's a tip line.
But this one that I found interesting was from Barbara G. Wells. Commented last year. She said, the man with the glasses is Gary Wallace. He was the one who killed Megan, and the guy in the cowboy hat is Keith Esther. These men are best friends. There was a big hit on Megan from Deanna Ramirez. Deanna and Megan were fighting in 2000. So, that just kind of goes nowhere. Why would you just name two random people and say that there was a hit? We already sort of gave the opinion that it wasn't a hit because it was so brutal. So, and who is this Deanna?
Yeah, that's bizarre.
Deanna, I don't think, has Deanna ever come up? I never saw her name anywhere else in the investigation. So, it's probably just another false lead. But yeah, like I said, it seems pretty brave to just name people right out.
Now, this took place in Lufkin, Texas?
Yes.
Oddly enough, in Lufkin, Texas, which I'm not familiar with Lufkin, Texas, Crime Stoppers is based out of Lufkin.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, isn't that it's kind of a small world?
I did not know that.
Of course, Crime Stoppers is a nonprofit organization that you can actually call and submit a tip to. And I'll just mention their number. It's 936-639-8477. And you can find also Crime Stoppers at 639tips.com. And, you can submit a tip right to them if you know anything about Megan Curl.
See, that's a lot better than just commenting on Unsolved.com.
Right. Unless you're full of crap, which is, I'd say that would be a perfect place to go to. That's a bit little, it's entertaining, but I think, I say this from time to time, I think people forget sometimes that real people are involved here.
Yes.
Poor Megan Curl was, I don't know if she was raped. We don't know. We just have no idea. We have to hope she wasn't, but she was certainly murdered in such a horrific fashion.
Yes, and I mean, her mum is still looking for the killer, still wanting to find out information. And Megan is buried at White House Cemetery in Lufkin, Angelina County, Texas, in the Sundale section, but she's under her maiden name of Romero. But I also mentioned, I don't know if she actually did divorce her husband or if she's just separated.
Right.
Because it just said that she wasn't with her husband anymore.
Maybe she kept her. Then people often keep the name. It's such a pain in the butt to reverse your name too.
True. That's very true.
I don't know how it is in Australia, but here it's like a big headache because all of a sudden all of your taxes and driver's license and all that kind of junk.
Yeah, so 21 and a half years later, it is still unsolved. So, like you said, we can't give up. Hopefully, one day soon, it'll be like the case of Wendy Camp, and we'll get some sort of closure for it, and she'll get some justice.
Well, let's not lose hope. But again, that number, if you do have a tip, is 936-639-8477. Or go to 639tips.com. Or you can always reach out to us and we'll reach out to them on your behalf.
Definitely.
But Laura, I want to thank you so much for coming on tonight and talking about the Megan Carl's murder. And I look forward to the next one. Absolutely. Do you have anything else you wanted to kind of add to this?
Well, I already have another case in mind. So.
All right. I'm looking forward to it.
Tonight we have been confronted with an entire catalog of unexplained and unsolved events. Tune in next time as Unsolved Mysteries Rewind discusses another collection of unsolved mysteries. Until then, we can only look and wonder.